Alright, in this one, I'm still playing the same deck as usual. I'm going against cc7200. Based on his stats, he's pretty new. Speed up a little bit. His his deck has a lot of wheeled vehicles, so it's pretty fast. Land my recon in this town. Move my vehicles up here. Mine are tracks, so they're a lot slower. I mean, look how much ground mine's barely. You could probably move into here and take some control, but he doesn't exploit that, which is kind of a mistake on his part. I get an early 2-point capture, so. But he's bought one to offset it. He gets these guys in there and they destroy one. Actually, they destroy both my AA pieces. But I keep advancing my tanks. This is what I'm talking about in the last video about being aggressive. And then back off. The sustained machine gun fire from these 3 tanks is enough to just overwhelm them. They get a missile hit on one of the tanks, but it's not enough. And I already had some Marines on their way. And luckily, that missile missed. Both did. When it dropped altitude, it missile lost its line of sight. I'm being kind of stagnant here. I should be pushing in. Fortunately, he's not aggressive. Otherwise, he could have been pushed in, and it would have been you lose valuable ground. Like I should have my tanks down here, pushing in to control this road, or over here, something along those lines. He's trying to push, but can't really push with anti-tank guided missile vehicles, and his tanks were no match for mine. Bring in these guys, and it's basically a slaughter. He's buying a anti-tank helicopter. I mean, the victories I've had right here, I should be pushing in more. But again, I'm being kind of stagnant. If I would, though, it could have. I mean, being aggressive could have cost me, because if I would have been moving these tanks up, by the time this helicopter gets here, it has 8 fairly powerful anti-tank missiles. So that would have been a mistake to do that. Jeez, slaughtered. And finally moving up my stuff. He's destroyed one of my tanks with his helicopter. I'm bringing up a ranger squad. I smoked off his AA piece so it wouldn't have line of sight on, just in case it was in range. Yeah, that piece has very long range against helicopters. Brought my own AA helicopter. Should have brought these, but I didn't. Pushing into here would have been a pretty good move. He has quite a bit of stuff there, though. It'd been risky, but this guy has... It's an AA helicopter, and then its missiles outrange the missiles on my AA helicopter by quite a bit. Intercept one of those and destroy it. That worked out. Move this guy up a little bit too far. He gets spotted by those recon vehicles and destroyed. I don't think he can see that. No, but he can see those. No. Oh, it's because he moved his helicopter. So I'm just kind of testing, see where his stuff is at with my cheap transports. I was going to move up my tank to engage these things, but it was just lost line of sight too fast. It's kind of risky on him, but he took advantage of the fact that I had no AA. He didn't know that, but still good on him for being aggressive right there. Of course, being aggressive can be very costly, but and him not winning really very many of the battles here, that's very risky. I would say it's reckless. It just paid off in this instance. He did know he destroyed 2 of my AA pieces, so it's probably fair of him to figure that I don't have anything there. But I could easily replaced it with the points I've been spending at this point. So he retreats it. This guy gets a little too close. I shoot down. He buys some heavy artillery pieces. Put some rangers right here just so I can make sure he's not sending in a flanking attack. And then I also put some security here, and I'll put some here later. Have my AA piece coming in. Then I have some infantry and support infantry coming to Bravo to reinforce in here. He's firing his artillery. Blind firing now along the path that this Avenger was taking. I think he's basically how artillery works is if, say I see these guys moving and I have my artillery target these guys, when they fire, it will be the last known position. It will be, so if I target now, it'll be right there that they hit, that the artillery fires at. It won't anticipate, it won't fire here, it'll fire right when I click to attack, which was right here. And that's what's happening here. He saw this Avenger right about here, he clicked on it to be engaged, and it just landed where it last was. So make sure you shoot at stationary or leading. Leading's pretty difficult, I've found, but it can be done. Mostly against infantry. Vehicles are really difficult and very maneuverable. So he's shelling this forest, which is good. You know, but you'd want to do it in like support of an attack too. I mean, I could easily bring in a supply truck and replenish these guys. If you've been doing this in support of an attack, like if you would attacked right then, this rifle squad was heavily damaged. Then he could just queue off when these rangers engaged his infantry. He could just drop his shells on them. So he's trying to helicopter insertion, which is actually good on his part. I'm fortunate that I realized I did not have this very well defended. So I brought in those riflemen a little bit earlier. I'm buying a super heavy artillery piece. So this artillery piece, they have 36 rounds for each piece. This has 2, but they're far more powerful. I already fired a shot of 2 and damaged these 2 severely. So those big craters right there. Damaged the FOB a little bit, but it took 8 points off of each of those units. So he landed right here. Now these Commando Marines are special forces, but they're out and these riflemen are just base. Toe to toe, these Commando Marines would slaughter these riflemen, but because they're in buildings, the riflemen are able to get some important bonuses that allow them to win that battle. Even still, I like to, conserve the amount of damage. I'm being kind of slow. I finally bring in a helicopter deal with them, but I should have been using this mortar to rain down fire, but the riflemen already take care of it, along with 1 second burst from the DAP. The DAP is the American's AA helicopter, but it has one important difference from most of your other AA helicopters, like the Celtic right here. The Celtic only has the Mistral air-to-air missile heat seeker. This has the Stinger air-to-air missile, which is shorter range than the Mistral, but also has 2 30mm cannons and 2 7.62 miniguns. So it can actually act in a support role. Like that helicopter, had it gone there sooner, it would have chewed these men up. Bringing some rangers in that they take a bad course that pulls them out of cover or concealment, and then this guy starts shooting at him. But I managed to get him back in concealment. Setting up some base defense right here and here. The helicopter insertion here had me worried that I wasn't really being prepared. His Mirage is dropping napalm. Napalm won't destroy my tanks, but it will panic them and slowly eat away at their health, so I move everything back. He's shelling too, in combination with that, so that's good. If anything would have been in there, it would have been taking significant damage, so. I bought another command vehicle to get a +1 again and extend my lead further. Let's go to the next engagement. So he's trying to push with a helicopter insertion, which is very risky. He should have thrown down smoke right here. And then this won't happen, but my system is engaged in my air-to-air defenses. I had some Rangers and Marines in there. He eliminated them with his heavy AA. It just cut them to pieces. But he loses his gunship and his AA helicopter. And this transport helicopter that had a group of 15 Commander Marines, but now down to 2. They survived the crash. The squad survived the crash, but only with 2 out of the 15. And then it's obliterated by my Abrams. Let's hurry it up. So he's firing some more. This helicopter, this scout helicopter, can see what's coming into here, around here. So that's why he's firing on that. I moved this just briefly to make him think that I put my command right there. I don't know if it fooled him, but it's always good when someone's just slinging artillery everywhere to make them second guess. Here comes a Mirage to do some napalm bombing. I see it coming and I start to move my infantry out of the way. Barely escaping. Barely. He's just sending in another. I mean, I think by now he would know that if he's been paying attention, I have a super heavy tank, this M1A2 there. And it's more than a match for. I mean, that's a 65-point tank. My tank's a 180-point tank. Combination of this PVADS, the Avenger, and the F-16 shot down his napalm Mirage. So that's a nice irritation gone. Still shelling. He was shelling where he thinks my Abrams is going to be, but I'm backing it up this way. I have some infantry to help. He's bringing in a vehicle to nullify my 1-point lead. Surprised I didn't get any bombers like the F-15 Strike Eagle. They've been so useful. Especially, I could have probably pushed into here and then just bombed here and then cut through the rest pretty easily with support from my mortar and other systems. There's another Mirage coming in. Another napalm Mirage. This one lands pretty much on target. So it can do some damage to him. I've seen this guy firing again. I remembered, oh yeah, I need to destroy that thing. So my shells are incoming. He's shelling the crap on my stuff here. He sees them incoming. He tries to move them, but actually ends up driving right into one. And boom, that's it. I've just destroyed those heavy artillery pieces. They pretty much come in either 1 or 2. 1 for upvetted, 2 for lower veterancy. I programmed these two to do a strike of 4. So they only have 2 rounds before they have to reload. So the first 2 here, and the second 2, I was aiming up here just in case, trying to anticipate his movements. I would have been wrong had he escaped. So he's trying another helicopter insertion, knowing that I have quite a bit of AA over here. It was kind of inadvisable. At least I'm assuming he had to know. Excuse me. Buying a 4-stack of relatively. So I bought this Cobra to take care of that because I saw it get into the forest, but my Cobra can't see it. But it can be shot by it, so that's why I withdraw it. The rocket pods on those Panthers caused a lot of criticals, and then that ATGM destroyed my tank with a side shot. I'm trying to capture this point, but when I see all that there, I wave them off. I do kind of a testing attack. And then see, that's where it would have been important to, if I would have bought the bomb or the strike eagle, I could have just dropped right there and wiped out the entire group. So I bring up my AA pieces and destroy those helicopters. Now his infantry, he does have this, the AMX. But the tow launcher in this Bradley is fantastic. Direct hit. He actually hits the Bradley and does some damage. But the Bradley has great front armor. Yeah, but if I would have dropped the bomb right there, my infantry could have moved up. He doesn't have anything in there. Then I would have been able to nullify his 2-pointer. Maybe even eventually take it completely. So here go these units. These units are 20-point vehicles with no stabilizers, so they have to stop in order to shoot. And then most of them are already panicked or worried. My Bradley's got him up with its autocannon. They have thin armor, so the miniguns on the frogs here are able to penetrate, and I bring up my super heavy, and the riflemen take most of the damage, but also do their own damage. He doesn't. That jet failed to do a target position. Instead, he targeted a unit straight out. He should have done a fire position instead. That's why I didn't drop its payload. And then that's it. He surrenders in 3 seconds here. Hope you enjoyed.